is iRacing.
A circuit of all circuits built into Sao Paulo in Brazil. A place that's name honors Paul the Apostle, a place founded in 1554 by the Society of Jesus. This is Interlagos, a truly magnificent circuit. It is between lakes, but it is not between all of the amazing battleground action we will have. We're going vintage for IMSA action here today on the Global SimRacing Channel to get you through to the new year of 2026. My name's Jake Sperry here. Alongside with me for today's action is the ever-dependable Craig King. Daniel Costello jumps into the director's chair, and the cameras today are provided by Dougie Beard. So, to Interlagos, possibly the greatest battling circuit the world has ever produced. Let's take a look at possibly the most special piece of road in motorsport with your GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Autodromo's Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its two layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of two circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those two corners. But from Ferradura until Juchão, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo.
This is truly a special place for racing actions. When it opened in 1940, there were a lot more turns to this place. But what it's become over these 2.67 miles, these 4.3 kilometers, these 15 turns, Craig, it is truly a special race circuit in the hearts of all racers.
There's magic here. And once upon a time when the IMSA Vintage came here, magic happened, and it's been happening all this week. It's a tough track for overtaking, and that's what gives it a lot of character. You look at the Senna S, that's a fantastic place to make some overtake. Otherwise, you have to get through the cover or so at turn 3 to make an overtake into 4 or 5 Descida do Lago. But then it tightens up to, in my opinion, one of the greatest sections of motor racing tracks there are. Section 2, if you come to F1, that from 6 all the way to 11. There's not a lot of space to make overtake, and if you're brave, ascend into Bico de Pato at 10 is going to be your best bet, but it's a late send. And that's going to be the name of the story today. We're going to see a lot of trains just working their way through together. Look for overtakes at that turn 4. Look for overtakes at turn 1 with that long straight up the hill at 4 to 13, 14, and 15. But apart from that, just hold on to your britches, hold on to your sombreros if you're in Mexico, but most importantly, just hold on and stay tight. It's going to be a very long 40 minutes today.
It's going to feel like an hour and 40 minutes by comparison to what normally 40 minutes is to give. Now we talk championship and where everyone has been setting themselves up for so far. In the GTPs, we've only had 1 round's worth of racing, so it was Adrius Valenteius, the gold standard, up on top ahead of Gabri Martinez with Laust Olsen and Christoph Olenijak there in 4th position. It then follows with Brendan Lim and Davide Riccardi in 5th and 6th, ahead of the tide points for Emilio Dicciari and Shadi Ahmad. Jacob Reed all the way down in 9th after the opening round of the season will need to find a way to jump back up through, with Matthew Cockerham rounding out the top 10 in GTP flavor. But GTOs often is about who can stay up near the top the most, Craig.
Yeah, and you will see with the standing, that happened last week because Noah Lumber, the champion of last season, he leads the championship after one race with that victory from Cal Young. And then Johan van Hicks was third, with Arturus Kundelis in fourth. And a surprise in her first season in the main standings, Josephine Becker rounds out sixth, with Andreas Schuster in sixth. Sorry, Josephine Becker was fifth. Jack Wells will be seventh, then Marcos Bayon, as we had 2 splits last week. 1 second split, so he'll be in 8th. Yoni Hagner will take that 9th, and Iko Costa Salo rounds out that top 10. It is early days, of course, but you look at that top 5, and that's the names you're going to be looking for most of the season.
This is a season of seasons, and we will get to see that today, though. We have said earlier on, this is a 40-minute race here at round 2 of 12. They will be all on open setup. So, but we mean between open and closed, or open and fixed, is this is a setup you have to tinker with to go get the best out of the car. It's not a case that everyone's playing from the same hymn sheet. Everyone's got something that works for them. You then have to look around and see that they don't have a spare car. If this car breaks on you, there's nothing you can do about it. It is day done if you find the car in the barriers. And then with all races, almost all races even, with iRacing, it's a drive-through penalty for an official race at 17, and then it's disqualification over at 25 incident points. So keep an eye on that as that looks to progress. Qualifying is currently in the ascendancy. At the moment, we focus on the green and yellow of the Worcesterman, Jacob Reed, working his way up to Bico de Pato, and then Mergullo as the next corner down the hill. This fast left-hander, which is all about aerodynamics to carry the speed through this section. A driver who, after his win in the 49s, is looking to try and set up what only one man has done before, Jamie Fluke, a Triple Crown.
Yeah, it's coming around Junkawa now to 13 and 14. This is the only lap he's got today, so he has to make this count. He's going to be coming across the line. He'll want to be at the front of the field. It's a 1:26.20. That's enough time. There is still one man who can battle him, and he's got 2 laps to go. And it's this man, the gold standard, Audrius Valenteus. And now they've changed the off-track rules here. Braking for Junkau tightens the corner up a little bit more for these drivers. As Valenteus comes across, I'm looking. This is a stacked strength of field today. 4,982 for the GTP. We're looking top 3 in terms of highest strength of fields ever for this class. And the highest driver, 4/10 faster, goes Audrius Valenteus.
That is a statement qualifying message. You want to try and get a Triple Crown sorted, you've got to go through me, sunshine. Audrius Valenteus, absolutely ace with that lap out there. Noel Lundberg trying to get by his Dutch compatriot Alex Ott in the number 8, who is currently 3/10 clear in the Audi 90 GTOs on a 132.2. Is this going to be the answer that's needed? There is one more lap to come after this. It's a 32.6 to warm it up, but 4/10 off the pace. This is a strong field. You got to remember, we are just after Christmas. The gift of sim racing is still to be given here in 2025.
If you're wondering why it's a smaller field today, because we split 57 sign-ups today as Valenteus will come through once again. I'm looking at some of these times in the timing tower. Johan van Hicks, 7th. He was 2nd last night in the last hot split that the drivers had, behind this man who decides that, no, I'm going to have a GTP today, as Valenteus will come across. This is just a show-off lap right now. Is he going to find 2/10? That's going to be something brave to find. If he breaks the 120, you'll hear some noises here today. He doesn't. It would still be fast enough to go onto pole position. Noah Lumbo's the last man, the last driver out there who can set a time. And the timing deltas today, as you can see, the leader and the leader in both classes, it's 12 seconds. Normally, that's a decent delta. But when you've got a smaller field like this, that's going to be more bunched up in the GTOs. That's going to provide a lot of issues out there today, because I do feel like traffic is going to be the killer. We've got Noah Lumbo just coming around Junkau. I don't know if he's going to find 4/10 here today right now, but I'll tell you what, he'll be brave enough to find it.
He will be, and we'll see what happens here as he goes through the Skidados boxes. He'll pass the Anki Bancadas on the right-hand side. So as he makes that push for the line, it's enough! 32-1. He will snipe pole position at the 11th hour here at Interlagos. The mark of a champion is when the back's against the wall. How good is your qualifying? The answer is no does anything as anything he wants to, and the band of others can only watch. Let's take a look at your starting grid, starting with GTPs here today from Interlagos. And Andreas Valenteas, he made Jack David Spickett shout no shot over in-game communication. A 120.221 is 4/10 clear of Jacob Reed alongside him on the front row. Jack David Spickett and Timothy Vaughan house row 2, the new Kiwi there in that 4th position, with Christophe Lenajak and Ferran Grau then in 5th and 6th. Shadi Ahmad will have Jack Wells for company. They make up 7th and 8th places, with Henning Schwebig in position number 9 and Gabri Martinez rounding out your top 10. Now, there is only 14 drivers in your GTP field today, so Fabian Gerber, the Swiss driver, will go from 11th, with Kevin Parrish from America in 12th. And then it's the Irishman Seamus Power, and then representing Hong Kong, Javi Mosquera, then in the number 20 machine. Over to Craig, who has your GTOs.
Into the GTOs, and a little bit of drama. We'll get there shortly, because Noah Lundberg at the 12th hour took the pole position away from Alex Ott, who made his return today, with Andreas Schlumber in 3rd, and Josephine Becker should be 4th, has disconnected. So that will move everybody up a place. Ika Costa Sala will stay 5th. Arturus Kunelis will be 6th, with Johan van Hicks in 7th. And Taylor Bennett will be in 8th, with Ian Haycock's 9th. And Roman Bello will be in 10th, with just 5 more drivers left to go. It does mean that Timothy Reed, no relation, different, less spellings, in 11th. Sammy Juveren will be in 12th, with Cam Porter, that unlucky 13th. Fabian Jumblef will be in 14th. And Martin Krajcik, car number 29, will be the last man on the field. He will be 15th.
Now, they have a 2-minute gridding procedure, or they will have to elect to start from pit lane. And with Josephine out of session, she will, if she comes back in, will now have to start this race from pit lane. She will have half a pace lap to get up to speed behind the Porsche iRacing first safety car to get back into position and say this is where the pace is going to have to be found. Valenteas and Reed then 1 and 2 as far as this goes, but I'm interested in the pace that Alex Ott potentially will have today in the number 8 machine. It's not often that you see drivers out there who are trying to say this is what we're capable of doing, and what a livery actually that Alex Ott is running. He's got a Slayer livery, Craig.
Oh, you just gotta love a little bit of heavy metal around here today. There'll be no raining blood definitely out there, but I tell you what, he wants to be raining hammer blows on this championship. He knows beside him is the champion leader in the GTOs. I wonder what he can do against that man. It's been a while since we've seen Alex Ott drive, so this could be a very good return, but also Timothy Vaughan. Names we don't see normally here, Jake, at the Porsche iRacing Porsche safety car gets ready. New names, old names, vintage names. Happy Christmas, everybody.
Absolutely. Timothy Vaughan, representing the black and white of New Zealand, has raced before against the likes of Jacob Reed in, of course, the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, so definitely has that cadence. But Aldrius, who absolutely romped away in qualifying, will it be the same case again today? Pace car's going to dive off left into the unaltered pits on the left-hand side, and Aldrius gets a very early jump there as the green flag launches, and they get themselves underway. GTPs will go behind, or GTOs will go behind, but into the center S then for the first time. It's a nice, easy start for this one. No dramas through the first 4 positions. Vaughan having to defend from Jack Wells, and then looking at the front of GTOs, Craig, Alex Ott has got the start. Noel Lundberg got jumped back to 4th.
Well, we've got big drama. Noel Lundberg, not only did he miss his gear on the launch like he did last night, big crash in the back of the field. Johan van Hicks with damage. Two cars, Ian Haycox and Cam Porter with towing. You've got Iker Costasalo with massive damage. I saw a man go flying. I think it was Ian Haycox went flying. We are down now to 12 drivers in the GTOs. When you think about it, with no Josephine Becker as well, that's going to go down again. Massive carnage at the start for GTOs.
We'll need to see a replay of that because Joran van Hicks tried to shoot the gap and it didn't work for him as we go to Christopher Lenejak then in 6th position on this opening lap. Tries to work down through Meguio and over towards Junsao, the junction corner, before leading back up the long climb up the hill. Already 8/10 the gap at the front, but a number of drivers out in the early stages of GTO at the moment, which might make life easier for those up there. Ferran Grau side by side then, the Andorran going for 3rd position and getting it past Jack David Spickett, an easy pass to go down and make presence known, and now needing to chase down Jacob Reed.
Yeah, Jack David Spickett decided to make the switch to GTP, having a bit of a change now. So it's interesting to see the man that he does a lot of dominance in the Lotus 79s. He doesn't really like the downforce cars when it comes to sports cars. So interesting that he decided Ferran had to run. No point trying to fight. They need to catch up to the leaders. And already Valenteus has almost a 2nd lead out there as well. All right, Josephine Becker is back in the car. It's going to be a lap down, but I think we have that replay ready. This is the start. Now on the right, you'll see Noah Lundberg will miss a gear at the start, and then just there, the number 4, that is a gap that is always going to close up there, and it was just everyone just trying to make a move. There's Ian going flying. Cam had nowhere to go for the 2nd day in a row. Nowhere to go for him, but it just felt like everyone was trying to make a reaction to a very slow start in Noah Lundberg.
Ian Haycox is a driver who doesn't have access to one of his feet as he had a motorcycle accident that ended up causing a whole heap of trouble. So if you saw an incident like that in the real world, that would be enough to make you wince out there. And so his chance to drive, he can only drive about 40-minute stints. It's just about the right length for him, but he'll get nothing out there at the moment. Arturas Candelis then in 2nd position behind Alex Ott at the moment. I note that running a little bit wide is Shadi Ahmad, and that will bring Schwebig and Martinez through 4 positions. But Alex Ott with a great start. You've then got Shalumba, who is there, the Lithuanian, in 3rd, and then Noel Lundberg in 4th. And Noel's going to have to make places, and we haven't seen that too often in recent seasons from Noel, where he's had to work his way through and fight adversity to get back into place.
Yeah, and the way some of the drivers earlier this week have taken on the challenge is just waiting for a good run out of Junkao. No point trying to send it as they can, but there was a moment last night where the top 4 were all 2x2 for a good few laps out there. I can see on the timing tower, Gabriel Martinez has had a moment out there, but this is now what you expect to see. This is why we call it the GTO train. These drivers will be prepared to just stay together here until somebody makes a blink, and that's what they're looking for. It's just a small mistake out there. It's heading Swebe going a little bit wide. That will allow Seamus Power. Can he make a move up into Junkao? He can. Very risky to go a little bit too wide there because the curve starts to go the other way on the track.
Oh, I wonder if Henning here, after what happened last week, has fired a retaliatory strike back at Gabriel Martinez. He took a very weird wide line going into the corner. Now Schwebig then down the inside is going to try and hold his place up then with the likes of Fabian Gerber, Seamus Power, and he's just trying to get the elbows out. Seamus holds himself on the inside of the curb of the Sol, the Sunshine Bed, and now we'll head over on the descent to the lakes, the Ski de Lago, over on the Heta Posta here to try and get this sorted. 2x2. They run into the corner. Oh, and Gabri sends a shot back, says that is not nice for what happened down at the Pinarino. You will get demoted back down the group.
Just a little bit there, trying to see if he can get a receipt, but unfortunately, no luck. And this is unfortunate for Timothy Reed. He was +6 on the day, and he's had to take a pit stop. Not entirely sure what that's all about, but he's gone there. This is a little bit dangerous at the back of this field right now, and at the same time, they're losing time to the rest of the field. The top three in the GTPs have spread out a little bit. We'll wait for the traffic to bring them back together. Then you've got Farron Grau all the way down to Timothy Vaughan in a pack, and then everybody else, they're starting to lose out here. As you see, even still, I say that right now, I just saw a spinner. I think Shaman Power just had a moment out there as well, but Alex Ott still leading. Tell you what, it wouldn't be, you'd fancy him having a few solos out there right now, but I think he's had to work with some group work out there on the music floor.
If anyone has seen Jacques Whipper out there in terms of YouTube land, you'll know that Slayer Man is very much live and present here in this race right now. And Alex Ott, with that command here, is just keeping Arturus Candelis here at bay. Not necessarily under immense amounts of pressure, but that's a little wide there by Alex, and that's going to start opening up the chance to drive up the hill and try and gain that time back. So it's tough here for Candelis to chase this down. Shalumba watches. It's a case of two Lithuanians trying to find their way by Alex Ott. It's close as they head towards the center S. It's such a late apex into here. You can send it down the inside at turn one from an age back.
But at the same time, you can't late break in these GTOs, so you have to be committed and knowing that the driver will give you the space. And another moment earlier in the week, two drivers went side by side down the center S's, and one of them just a little bit understeer going through turn two, and they had a bit of door banging, but Noah Lumbo, that was one of the two who made the late moves, and he's going to try and make a late move on Schlumber, and it's worked out well. But look at it, now they're side by side. Now, do you back out or do you keep fighting? Because you're starting to lose time to the leaders. Lumbo's going to try and do this. Oh, look at the washing there, the understeer as well. Tries to keep just going in. He pins it to the outside. Schlumber holds that into the inside as they're through into 8. They'll come down to the tricky 9, and Lumberg has to give it up. Haven't lost a lot of time, but you can see the gap that's just formed by those two going side by side.
He's not the first Noel at the moment. He's down in P4, and he's got to do a lot more to jump himself up the order. And Andreas Schlumber here knows that if he does have to keep fighting, he will drop the second. Elena Shack now in the middle of this with Jack Wells just in front. This is the fight for the top 5 with Jack David Spickett there and Ferran Grau going for that podium at the moment. And Timothy Vaughan just keeping himself quiet on the back. 5 in a row at the moment in this group, and they are going to be very aware that they're about to hit the dregs of the GTOs. Your leader, Valenterius, has just caught Taylor Ballant.
Yeah, just a little bit of a hold up coming through John Calvert. These drivers won't have to worry too much. In fact, actually, I'm looking at the gap, and they may, this pack here we're looking at may hit that lone GTO coming around the center S's. That's going to be interesting to keep an eye out, because that will just bunch everybody up. In fact, they're 4 seconds away. They're not going to be hitting him right away. So you're looking there at going down into turn 4 to the Cedar del Lago, which will be a tough corner to make the move. Has allowed Reed to catch up a little bit to Valenteus, and here comes the bet. Here comes the great debate. Are you a Valenteus fan in traffic? Are you a Reed fan in traffic? Personally, I'm a Reed fan, but JDS, you're not Kevin Estra. Tried to go on the grass, and Farron Grau said no.
Tried it side by side in the grass. That was as firm as defense could get. Wells fends off Elena Shack, then behind up to Ferhadura. They will go, and there's the pass through on Taylor Ballant, who will hold himself on the inside. Everyone's going to have to tiptoe around through this section. Elena Shack tries to cross him under, has made contact there, and they somehow keep it on the island together. They're fighting right now like it's two Muppets, and Tim Curry being played right now by Timothy Vaughan is just laughing.
Yeah, he's just laughing. He's just seen that happen. And yeah, he's lost a little bit of time, but to keep on going. And the leaders have had a little bit of a time together, because Reed managed to get a little bit of an advantage on Valenteus, and then Valenteus returned the favor at the back of this field. And that's all right. These are the stragglers. Now you start to get to the groups when you come to these guys. So what happened for the rest of the pack? And Jack David Spickett, here he is. He's looking for another move. Now he has put himself there, and now Grau is allowed to make that move, but he also realizes that Jack is going to make this. And will Jack just get a little bit of speed, get a little bit in? He's going to look for that late move. Tough to make. I do like that, because now with Martin Krajcik right ahead and Josephine Becker, who is the least affected, Jack David Spickett, he has to lift a little bit, but he's got a great run here into turn 4.
Oh, it was cleverly set up. He realised turn one he could go firing down the inside, but Ferran just gets to the apex ahead of Josephine Becker, and that is going to be all you wrote on that in terms of an overtake on this lap. The spirited away Audi then losing out the time as Jack Davis Bickett then just waits in that Nissan still, desperate to try and get that third place. And this is the eternal dance that you see of multi-class style racing. Certain drivers will be looking for a gap, others will be looking to try and just wait for that gap to come to them. It's always a balancing act of what is the right thing to do at the right time.
The right thing really is just being patient out there right now, and it's not a dance of eternity out there, but as you can see with Kundelis holding on to the back of Alex Ott, looking a little bit like it's a bit of peace out there. Alex Ott's going to have to give this up because he doesn't have to run, and Kundelis now has to try and slow this down. The green car still has the crest celebrating a GTO championship from a year ago, able to just hold on to it, and now he leads, and I think that's a good time because behind them are the lead GTPs as they battle through, and also they're close together. You've got the other battle close together. That was a late move from Valenteus. He needed to get it done, as does Jacob Reed. They get on by, and now it's back to just raw pace.
That cut cost a second for Adrius Valenteus. Then Jacob Reed is right back in the picture once more, trying to hunt this one down. And Adrius, a driver who seldom makes mistakes, you're going to have to work for it. Ott now in the pack, and it's very much a case of a Dutch sandwich set on Lithuanian bread right now as Schlumber looks to try and figure it out. And Schlumber himself, a Lithuanian sandwich right now with, I would say, Dutch bread.
Yeah, I like Dutch bread. I've had Dutch bread. It's nice. You know, you're going to enjoy it right there. They keep on going. Behind them will be the rest of that field, and this is going to be a little bit of fireworks because they've got to just get held up from Van Hicks, and then you've got Grau, Wells, Bickett, Alezajak will be coming later with more. They're all going to be coming right now. They're going to be right behind them. This is going to be interesting because they should get by, but this is tricky here at 14 because what line do you take? You have to either go wide early or then have to lift to go inside late. And you start to see Jack Wells has to make a move that sets up Lundberg. Lundberg's going to look for the hole. He's going to shoot the gap. He is going to rain in the blood. That is Alex Ott, but he's gone a bit too wide and he loses out on that momentum.
He tried it. He very much had it wrapped under lock and key, and he let him off the hook by the end of that one. So he knew that he needed to push it too wide. He did everything he could to try and get there, but Schlumber did just enough, and Alex Ott was under a bit of threat. Gabri Martinez now side by side with Shadi Ahmad. This one for position. Ahmad then covers off the line on the inside. Gabri, oh, there's no drive by Shadi Ahmad off the exit. Gabri had to check up slightly. That pulls them to side by side as they head to the Horseshoe Bend. Ferradura round the outside goes Gabri Martinez, and he'll have to go again through the SA and then down into the Pinarino to get it sorted. Finally has the inside to command and conquer, and manages.
Yeah, managed it mainly because I think they're going through 8. Shadi had a little bit of too much curve-itis there. Hit the curb, lost control of the car a little bit, had to just control it while he went going. While that was happening, Schlumber actually missed a gear, had to lose that position, and this top 4 is all just a little bit different. And look at the damage on the front of Van Hicks after that incident. It's surprising he's there in 5th. He's actually able to somewhat match the drivers as, whoa! Gabri Martinez almost going into the back there of Schlumber, and that's what I meant, Jay. At turn 14, the GTPs have to be committed, but they know the Audis take one line and one line only.
And the Audis have to commit to that turn through the middle. If they do anything more than that, they can't back out of it. They don't have the ability to, so the GTPs have to tread a little bit more on eggshells, and if they paint themselves in a corner, it's only them who can get themselves out of it. They can't be left the room by the GTO. Speaking of which, Fabian Gerber in the barriers right in front of the number 5 Marshall post, and it's going to be down in the pit. Oh, and Shadi Ahmad's around as well.
Oh, Shadi Ahmad's around as well. It was actually catching Schlumber going around there for Fabian Gerber, and then unfortunately Shadi Ahmad has gone around, able to get the car going, but that's another moment they're trying to trying to make 2 from 1, going a bit too hot in the leaders here, and that held up Alex Ott. We'll have a look at the replay. That was Mascara going around. This is Shadi Ahmad. He's gone a bit too wide, I feel, through the Curva del Sol, and just hits there. And then just right here, you'll see Shadi Ahmad. He tried to make 1, but it was almost 2, and he had to slow down so much. That is the number 8 right behind of Alex Ott. He has to make evasive reaction. He has to take the 1X. He won't be happy about his safety rating, but at least he lives to fight another day.
He gets the chance to go by, and Shadi Ahmad, the issue there is that you take all of the downforce off the front when you have to stand on the brakes that much, can't get the car rotating through the corner. The lack of front downforce causes no rear downforce to come in. Car switches itself around and says no. Joran van Hicks now up into 4th position as Jack David Spickett remains in 4th. Jack Wells sitting on the back then in 5th is going to be very happy with how the day is going, and here comes the switch back from Joran, trying to get this one sorted here. Schlumber's going to have nothing for it as we head towards halfway in this one. And Van Hicks, remember, look at the front of that Audi 90 GTO. Caved in from what happened on the opening lap. Down in a straight line. Schlumber's going to come straight back on the head to Buster here into the Interlagos and gets it done. But Joran is trying to absolutely smash the throttle through the floor to get away through. Will go wide, says the Hellman's machinery, to the inside into Ferradura, and around the outside tries Javi Mosquera, who will get clear of both of them, but it's critically going to now be command and get this corner here at SA, and no, across the nose, round goes Joran, big drift, what a save!
Brilliant save there. I think Schlumber was being a bit too hot, and that was the whole reason that they went side by side earlier in the lap going through turn 1, because Schlumber went a bit too hot down to try and make the move, and that's the trade-off you have, because you can't out-brake, you can't do late braking in these GTOs, and Schlumber again, that's so tough at 9 to command the inside line of that corner, because you have to take it naturally wide because of the drop. So let's look at the replay here. This is Van Hicks just going in, and I feel this is all on Schlumber, because yes, you could say the door's open, but at some point with the nature of that hill, you have to take a late turn in.
And look at this, just absolute mastery of the 4-wheel drift going through the Pinarino. It's not the fastest way around that corner, but my, did he do well to not lose a position. Fabian Youngbluth now in a scrap. This one going around for 8th position, trying to get by Sami Juvonen for placement here. Juvenen's had the move just confirmed on this lap after starting this race net 26th. Up now to 21st overall, so certainly has made movement, made places, now up to 7th in class. Ilka Kotisalo, another Finn to try and chase down as the next available overtaking opportunity out there, and it's red versus red out there at the moment, and the battle of the red liveries here. Classic Nissan livery out there against that wonderful spiraling out Audi Quattro livery.
Yeah, if this was America right now, we'd be demanding that one of them drives in white, because you got to be white, and you got to have white, and you got to have a color. That's how it is in sport. But also, we've had the cursed Nissan GTP livery on an Audi GTO. Now we're looking at what is almost like it's a Nissan LM1. You know, they're like the Nissan that drove at Le Mans, the long boy, as they jokingly say. That's on a GTP right now. It's a little bit cursed. Jack Wells isn't looking for cursing. He's looking to just keep up to the back of Ferenc Grau, because they're starting to lose a little bit here to Jack David Spickett. He took 6/10 out of them last time by, and I feel like he's been able to use the traffic to his best, and that's really helped him, because they're coming through another round of traffic. And keep your eye on that timing tower, because Valenteus is getting held up here.
So what you've also got to remember in this mixture as well is the fact that Ferenc Grau did lose the place to Jack David Spickett going down into turn number 1, as we also watch Henning Schwebig here trying to go through. And keep an eye on this guy, because traffic's not being kind to Valenteus on this lap. Half a second gone in the back pocket over that last lap. It was up at 1.7. It's now down, just etching itself under 1 second at this point, and Jacob Reed knows that so long as he's within 2 seconds of Andres Valenteus, this race is not over and done with here as we reach halfway.
He didn't hear no bell, and he's just going to keep on going as Jacob Reed, and it's really good driving. But again, one thing that helps Valenteus here is last night he was driving in a GTO. Every time we talk about multi-class racing, we always say drive the slower class to give yourself an idea of how multi-class works. And realistically, he's had that race under his belt, so he knows what the GT... Oh, this is bad. This is bad. The blue flag rules say be predictable. You can help facilitate, but helping facilitate doesn't mean pull off the line. That has cost Jacob Reed a second there. I know that Martin Krajcik probably didn't mean it, but also at the front of the field, Noel Lundberg has retaken the lead on Gundelis.
Down the inside into turn 1, and Noel Lundberg has now got himself back in the prime position out there. He knows how quick his pace is. He put the car on pole. It's taken him half the race to get back up there, but he's finally in the place where the band of others, Audi, is going to be very much the happiest. But you do have to say that Martin Krajcik is a driver who is always trying to stay out of the way of others, but he has forgotten the cardinal rule of staying out of the way. They will drive around you. It's not your place to jump out of the way as the slower category car.
Yeah, you can always talk about the blue flag rules, and I know the blue flag rules say help facilitate, but that doesn't mean pull off the racing line, and that's so unfortunate for Jacob Reed. Thankfully for these guys, there's no chance for them to pull off the racing line. They're just racing hard. At the same time, you might be in your own race, but they have to respect that these three are all battling together, and credit to the community. When they see the leaders of a GTO battle bunched up like this, they don't even bother. They wait for a straight, or they try to pick it in singles. They don't try to be aggressive, and now Alex all the way down into third position. It's not where he wanted to be. You could say right now he's seasons in the abyss out there as he's looking to find his way up.
And so he will know that he's got to make progress. He's got to find a way to jump on through and gain that time and gain those places and get back to where he was in this race in P1. Gundelis is the first, but Arturus is picking up a toe along the main straight, and that's going to be the one bit you don't want to worry about. If you're trying to get by a car in front, if that car is gaining the same amount of top-end speed, where do you go and gain the pass, Craig? Because it's all right saying, oh, I'll just throw it down the inside on the brakes. You've got to remember to actually get it slowed up, and this is the issue you have being third in the train in these GTOs. You can get a good run, but what's a good run if you can't chuck it down the inside?
Well, see, the way I'm looking at this right now, it feels like Gundelis is being a bit too passive behind Noel Lundberg at the moment, and I wonder, every time they come to a corner, he doesn't launch off on the exit of the corner. You just start to see just a little bit of just more push there from Lundberg, and I think this is going to help it again. Too deep in there from Gundelis as they hit to 8, into the Hinelio there as they go to 9, but Jack Wells still keeps on looking, so that's going to be one to look for. Alt's going to have to hope for Gundelis to make a mistake right away. Jack Wells is looking for other drivers to try and make a mistake, but they're losing time to Jack David Spickett. 2.5 seconds now to Jack David Spickett. Baron Grau and Jack Wells, they might have to just accept they're in a battle for 4th with a Lesnijak who's close behind him. There he is.
Yeah, and so Christophe Lesnijak here is going to be very much sitting, and Christophe's actually got damage on the front left as it stands at the moment in the Space Battleship GTP out there. By comparison, the Beast Racing GTP of Jack Wells, I'd know that shark anywhere in terms of livery design, is going to have a lot of work to do. But Christophe here, walking a little bit wounded into the second half of this race, is going to realise this is damage limitation mode. This is how many points can I get rather than can I go hunting.
Yeah, just have something on the board will help you when it comes to drop weeks later in the season. Look at the gap now between Valenteas and Reed. And you got to feel that Reed has lost half a second the last time by. So, yeah, granted, we could talk about the moment there at turn 9, but one thing for sure is that Reed still has to get this on. And with Ott losing a bit of time to Gundelis right now, able to make the moves past Gundelis and Lundberg. Not going to hold him up too much, but he loses more time to this man. Valenteas is just a man on a mission right now. They've gone through traffic for the second time, and I think that's going to be it. Where is Reed going to find this time? He needs some help out there.
And it's not often you get help in a race like this, and Jacob Reed knows he held the pace beautifully for the first half of this race. The issue has come in that he got caught behind Martin Krajcik. I would say that the rhythm snapped out there, and drivers, there are a lot of drivers out there, Craig, who run in a rhythm that they hit lap after lap after lap. They understand that once they get themselves in the zone, they will hit the same lap over and over. You break that concentration, and suddenly it will take a few laps to realize I can get this speed back, and that's why on a 23 flat playing a 22.6, the game's not there for Jacob Reed at the moment as we watch the waiting game continue at the front of GTO.
The waiting game continues as Reed had a little bit of a slide, trying to catch one at turn 3. Let's talk about something we've not talked about here today, Jake, the temperature. Usually iRacers, when we come to Interlagos, they like it to be a morning or an afternoon session. No, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It is 49 Celsius out there track temperature. That's 121 Fahrenheit. We talk about how the tires have to be careful you don't overheat them. No. You basically just have to be careful on your tippy toes today, not to overheat them. You're talking earlier braking, smoother inputs. This is what the drivers have to do. You talk about keeping a rhythm, and this is a rhythm track. But right now, you need to be thinking about a new rhythm. You almost have to learn how to sneak, like you've just come in at 2 a.m. in the morning on a Friday night, not trying to upset your partner.
Oh, well, that's quite apt at the moment for how this is going to be working for these drivers, because they know that on a dog walking to egg fry scale out there, they are firmly in the realm of egg fry at the moment, and they know that supper's up for many drivers in this field. Jack David Spickett works his way through. He has dropped drivers. Oh my goodness. Almost contact with Noel Lundberg. Lundberg shut the door down, just taking the natural line that the GTO could. Jack David Spickett had to get jumping on the binders. Over now goes one, and the chance away from Kundelis, because look at that from a league away. We'll spot that flying bird trying to work her way through. That's Jack Wells from a mile away, getting the run down on the inside. Great chance there for Arturas Kundelis. Absolutely ruined by Jack Wells, jumping down through. Now here comes Elena Jack. Another chance will go.
No, he waits. He doesn't have the speed to do it. And I'll tell you what, Jack Wells couldn't get that car slowed down through turn 2 of the center exit, so it almost looked like that Kundelis had a chance to make a move there, but he could not stay close together. And again, you see that Kundelis is struggling out there. Another car goes through. Timothy Board goes on by, and look, being polite, waiting for the opportunity. This has helped Jack. All of a sudden, that small mistake there, and I gotta say, Jack, you're a GTO driver by nature. I think that's a little bit of a miscommunication there by him. He should know better. Well, he's going to slap me on the wrist for saying that, but he knows what I'm going to say. But that helped Noel out, then it helped Arturas out, and then it helped Noel out, and now they're back to square one.
I mean, you call Jack Wells a GTO driver by trade. I see what he did in the GTP last year at the Saxon Ring, and he had an absolutely wonderful battle with the likes of Seamus Power and co, and it took him the victory on that occasion. So Jack does have pace as and when it comes around, but it is a case of looking for a blue moon as far as it goes at the moment, looking for that 4th position, but not quite managing it at the moment. He'll have a bit more out there to go and work. Now here comes Alex Ott to the outside, trying to get it done here in towards turn 1, the center S. He's not going to get it, and now he has to check his run because he got too close. Got to be careful about this. You're allowing 6-7 tenths of a second. How much of a leash are you going to give Noel Lundberg? He's reigning champ, remember, lads. Come on, play the game.
Yeah, they got to give the respect, but at the same time, they've got to rein in the blood, and they've got to make sure that they hold this going. So I do wonder what Alex has got left here on the day. 11 minutes to go. The tyres will now be starting to cry out. This is where they've got to be very careful out here today, and I feel that this is where Lundberg will start to just excel. The late game, as they would say in esports, the late portion of a race here. That is where I feel he's starting to just start to turn it up there. There's a gear that he's found, or a gear that he has, that I don't feel Kundelis has got here. I know Kundelis is a former champion. That's not knocking down here, Jake, but he is struggling out there. Slava Juvonen is trying to make some more recoveries here. Real good drive here. Juvenen's up 5 places. You've got Cotasalo down a place in front. They do have a couple GTPs trying to get on by, but they're giving the respect. But Juvenen's losing time here.
Kevin Parrish around the outside, and there is Jacob Reed, and there's not much that you could see out there for him to try and chase down. That gap now up to 6 seconds, so I think he's had a little bit of a trundle off the road in the opening sector out there, and he's overcooked it into turn 1 out there at the center S, and that's where 2 seconds have gone, and that will be the moment, Craig, in this race where, you know, Jacob Reed says, well, it was a good try for me, but white flag, Aldrius, you're too good.
Yeah, well, never say never. And Reed's lost a race from Valenteas in a similar position like this, so never say never, but no one thinks about the Triple Crown until they get to Sunday. However, Reed was probably the strongest chance with his pedigree in the 79s and the pedigree in the GTP. You felt that this was the chance for him, but he still has, and he still is, just like Valenteas, able to get podiums in all 3 races on the Triple Crown. In fact, Valenteas has the 2nd greatest weekend ever, thanks to a P2 last weekend in the 79s and 2 victories. Reed's had 2 victories and a P3. He wants to try and keep close there, as Kundalis is, well, he's trying to keep closer. Nothing can separate these drivers, and I feel that Kundalis just doesn't have the wing and doesn't have the setup to get past Noel Lundberg right now.
I disagree. I think Arturus is a very, very accomplished driver. I think Arturus is brilliant. We'll take a look at this is what happened. So Jacob Reed sending one down the inside, overcooking it into the corner, just runs out on the marbles, and then just can't get the rotation of the car into the corner. And that might be a case there with Jacob Reed. He's a traditionally heavy tyre user out there when he races, so he will be someone who will be hurting more than someone like Valenteas, for example, when it comes to tyre life. But I look at a driver here, Craig, like Arturus Kundalis. He is not going to risk that car until he absolutely has to. It looks like he can't make that move, and that is a fair assessment to make. I'm not going to say he can't make that move. I think he doesn't want to.
Well, I think there is that case of he doesn't want to, but at the same time, when he goes a bit too hot in the corner like he just did there, he's using up tyre wear, and he's overheating the tyres. And let's go to that track temperature, Jake. It's now up to 52 Celsius, 126. My voice gets higher as the number gets higher. And you start to see that everything is starting to just struggle here, because now you have to wonder, what has he got? And he did race yesterday. Lundberg did race yesterday. Alex Ott has not raced this week. That could be a factor as well. He's keeping up with drivers that know the conditions. He's still learning as he goes. I'm not saying in a GTO 3rd place is the best place, but you've got to give the respect there to Alex Ott.
You absolutely do. But Craig, my next question to you, do you have a bottle of helium on standby?
No, I don't indeed. Unfortunately, I do not. I don't think I can. I can go higher, but I don't want to go higher. Sami Juvinen wants to go higher, though. Well, he's trying to defend not to go lower. That's Fabian Jumel who wants to go higher. He's struggling out there as well. This is the other battle in the GTOs, and it's great. Once again, we only have 13 cars out there with 2 retirees. We've still got battles all around the track.
Juvinen then really looking to fight, coming out of Junsao and up the hill. This is a tough go against Ilkka Kottasalo, who has done well to keep the pace up, but this is the key. You can catch, but passing is the other side of the scenario, and Sami Juvinen now uses that chance, and he gets close, but close isn't gonna cut it at the moment, trying to get that line. Now fight yourself through turn 2, but again, the drive down the hill, just putting that power down. The 24 can't do much compared to the 9, and chance is safe, and Jack Wells now for Beast Racing wants to try and get his move done. He wants to try and line up that P4, but again, the Soiree is not in position just yet. He can't find that pass.
Can't find that pass, and I'll tell you what, he's looking, and here's an interesting fact here, Jake. As Kevin Parrish takes a tow, the lap counter is working an average of 29.02. Valenteas may have able to stretch another lap out here. And I know some drivers were double checking if they've got enough fuel, because they don't need to take a full tank in this race. If he has stretched it, and say he doesn't get hindered by the rest of the traffic coming up, are we going to see another lap? I'm not saying it's possible, but the fear is now in everybody's head. Valenteas won't be lifting to slow down. He'll be just going absolute foot to the floor.
Well, he'll know as many laps as possible is the way forward, and you race to the clock, you race to the end. So he won't be a driver who slows down and tries to, I would say, bait out the checkered flag. Here is someone who will go quick. 1:23.9 though on that last lap. He crosses the line with 5 minutes 33 seconds on the clock, and he's doing about 1:23s to 1:24s. So that will give you an indication of where the pace is. Again, it's close, but close is only what it is. And Aldrius making his way through right now on that driver, just as he's gone through of Andreas Schlumber. So he is not a million miles away from these leaders, and these leaders are going to be grateful that Valenteis is going to go by him rather than staying behind him in the final 5 minutes of this race, because it means that's one less lap they have to do.
Yeah, and getting held up here from Van Hicks, not on purpose, of course. It's just the fact that he just doesn't want to go for an aggressive move here. So he knows now that this is definitely going to slow it down, and we're not looking at that extra lap. So breathe a sigh of relief. But now these GTOs realize, oh, we now know that this is it. And I wonder if the sight of Valenteis on the relative, who will overtake them this lap, I wonder if that is now like the bell ringing on a track, like it's the 800 meters, Jake. The bell's ringing. I think that they realize it's last lap time.
Well, speaking of the bell ringing, here comes the likes of Arturus Candelis to the inside at turn 1. So there's going to be a chance for that move. Lundberg just had to leave the door open. Arturus was in two minds on whether he could get it stopped and could beat Noel Lundberg on the brakes. He takes a big diamonded line through the Curva de Sol, and the gap opens again. Fabian Youngbluth now seeing Ilka Cotasalo. He's lost one. It could be two for Ilka now that goes away down the inside at turn 1, and that is Fabian's place.
Yeah, Fabian will take that on. He may be able to make a move, but I think Ilka's still got a bit of damage. We'll see that other GTP battle right behind him. What have you got, Jack? Gonna try and thread the needle? Threads the needle, but I think Grau got the better run, and now these three continuing on. And you've got to say that Alex needs a little bit of divine intervention right now. He needs to hope for the moment, and he keeps getting close to Kundelis, but close is not good enough. He needs to be faster. He needs to be closer. He needs to be ready to get on the brake, and he's not there.
No, he's not, and that's the key. There was a big mistake into SA corner by Candelis, and Alex Ott couldn't try and find that way to jump it over. It was as tough could be, and it could be as tough as old nails for all he needs. There goes Valenteis on the inside. He will go and get that sorted, so they will now say this is where the next race goes.
Yeah, is it going to be where the next race goes? Alex Ott's got the run, and he's got the overlap as well. He's going to look for this overlap as much as he can. Hard onto the brake. They will go level side by side. The inside of the slide!
Oh!
Alex had to slow it down. He had to slow that down. The only way he could get there, Jake, was to make that. He tried hard, and now you know why you cannot outbrake somebody and be a late breaker in a GTO.
Yeah, you cannot make sure that you have got that all sorted. You are praying that you're there on the brakes, as there is the move for Ilka Cotasalo. He will come straight back down the inside of Fabian Youngbluth, say, that is mine. I am not going to have that. Jack Wells side by side now, looking for the pass, trying to get through. But again, Ferran Grau has the answer to the test paper. Jack Wells has been throwing what he can at it, but it's just not stuck.
It's not stuck for the moment, but never say never. There still is time, and I do wonder if he's got anything up his sleeve. Jack has that ability to make something work, and it's just going to have to be a challenge for him. Traffic's going to help him. They're going to bunch up behind Van Hicks, but I don't think it's going to be enough as they come into Pico di Pato. Yeah, that's interesting. Grau makes that move right away, and he gets it done. Where is Valenteis? Jake, it's going to be the white flag. Valenteis has an 11-second lead over Jacob Reed.
It's a big old gap, and it's a big old moment, and you look around at it, here you got 1:21 left on the clock. Yeah, that is white flag territory, and now everybody on notice knows that this is the final chances that they're all looking for. Whose move is going to matter what, and the car's going down the inside. Noel Lundberg's got his gap. Now with Seamus power through with Jacob Reed jumping on by. Arturus Candelis is nowhere by comparison at the moment. Valentelius is a driver who is the gold standard when it comes to racing on iRacing in the classics. He loves the feel of it. He's been in iRacing for over 15 years. He has proven time and again that he has raced the best out here. He has won against the best, and surely a driver who should have a triple crown next to his name, but doesn't. But today he'll play spoiler as you look at Kundelis now, still having to deal with Alex Ott in the final lap of this race. But the day belongs to car number 1, and it belongs to him for a reason. Climb up that hill out of Junsao through to Skidados boxes. Watch the Arquibancadas go up in unison for the gold standard. Aldrius sends a message to everyone. I can beat you in any car in IMSA Vintage. He will beat out Jacob Reed by over 12 seconds heading to the line. And Noel Lundberg didn't have everything his own way, but watch the drive to the line here for second overall in GTO, because Dennis and Ott are going to have a drag race, and it's AO, let's go! Alex Ott takes second.
Brilliant run there at the end for Alex Ott. He'll get that position by under a tenth, half a tenth. A fantastic drive there at the end, and it all came together with how it happened. In fact, Kundelis not very happy at the end there, slams the car in frustration. You've got to think, right there as they came on down to the final sets of corners, you had that battle between Grau and Wells, and that just held everybody up. Last bit of drama there, Fabian Jumblov just holds on. Everything for nothing.
So, as that goes, what a brilliant finish to racing action here today in the IMSA Vintage Series. Some wonderful, wonderful action out there. But let's take a look at official classified results then here today from this wonderful Ultradromer Jose Carlos Pache. And this is Aldrius's day out there in the sweltering heat that Brazil has to offer. It is him who gets it done by a margin of 13.1 seconds over Jacob Reed. Jack David Spickett will finish off in third ahead of Ferran Grau, with Jack Wells and Timothy Vaughan in 5th and 6th positions. A margin of less than a tenth for between 4th and 5th. Gabri Martinez with a little bit of controversy with Henning Schwebig again in 7th, ahead of Christoph Elena Jacques, with Schwebig finishing in 9th and Shadi Ahmad rounding out your top 10. Your last 4 in category has the likes of Javier Mosquera in 11th, Seamus Power a lap down in 12th, and the 2 retirees in category, Kevin Parrish and Fabian Gerber. It is over to Craig King, who has got himself GTO.
Yeah, just looking at the GTO drivers doing some drifting is Noah Lundberg. Doesn't need to drift. He takes home the victory from Alex Ott, who just, look at the gap there, 0.04 between Ott and Kundelis. Kundelis will have to just settle for third. And a good recovery for Van Hicks after that lap 1, well, that green flag incident there. He'll be a net 0 for iRacing today, but he goes up 3 places into 4th. Schlumber did slip down into 5th with Sami Juvonen in 6th. Good result for him up 6th. Nico Costa-Salo will be 7th. Up 6 as well for Fabian Jumblov into 8th. Roman Bella will be 9th. And Martin Krajcik goes up 5 into 10th. And then that leads us into the last 5. Taylor Bellant will be in 11th with Timothy Reed in 12th. Josephine Becker had a little bit of an issue at the start of the race. Had to take a pit lane start. Finished a lap down. And then, of course, that one crash at the end of the day, Ian Haycox and Cam Porter. Unfortunately, Ian Haycox will be classified ahead of Cam Porter. So he gets 14th. Cam will be, unfortunately, in 15th.
A tough day at the office for some, then, who found their race done right before the start of this one, but they know how difficult it is to race at Interlagos at the best of times. And Craig, we call it the best battling circuit out there, and if it's the best battling circuit out there, you expect to see drivers to battle, but the only way to, I would say, hold your ground on a track that is the best for battling is to outpace. That's the only way you can mitigate having a side-by-side battle the entire way around.
Yeah, usually the best form of attack is defense, and that was basically the way it worked today. And some of the drivers had to make sure they just kept to a line. And we talked about that rhythm earlier in the race, and that was what was helping the drivers keep to a rhythm. No, did not have a lot he could do there. He tried to battle Kundalus, but the moment he took the lead from Arturus, I don't think Kundalus had anything left at the end of the day. And again, we look back at those track temperatures. That's a key factor. Worked well, but you also look at the defenses that Farron Grau had to do on Jack Weld. You look at what Valentea's early doors of Jacob Reed, what Jack Davis Pickett had to do. Defense was very good. And I'll tell you what, if they liked hot tracks down in South America, how about we just go up to the middle of America next week to end the season, because they'll be at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez next week after being here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. So three autodromas in a week.
Well, you'd certainly take that. And of course, that coming along to you in 7 days' time. And that will kickstart your 2026 year out here with us. There is still some amazing racing to come along. Catch that with us here January 3rd, 5 p.m. UTC. It is midday Eastern for racing action out there. And it is going to be with a full Peraltada to end out the lap at the National Historic. We are going to get a chance very quickly to jump in with an interview here.
Yeah,
Alex Ott is here with us right now and is going to be in for a bit of a chat. Alex, brilliant day at the office for you, jumping in, having fun. You've got Twitch chat out there with you, but a day of leading after the opening lap of the race. P3, do you feel like something was left on the table?
I think it was P2.
P2, yeah, it was a drag race. Yes, you're right, it was
yeah.
P2.
The problem was in leading position, I just overdrove the car, so my right front tire was completely gone on the half of the race. And yeah, then Arturus came by, and I thought, well, let's get in this slipstream to cool the tires a bit. And yeah, that worked. And then I tried one time to overtake, almost lost the rear. And then in the last lap, it was really funny, and I don't know if you guys catch that, but me and Arturus both had misshifts on the last straight, so that was a crazy drag race, man.
And you just got the legs on it over the line. It was a close affair as it went through, but talk us through how tough it is out there when you've got the caliber of these drivers out there. Noel, of course, being Noel, going back to fourth and working his way through, but the caliber that you have to jump in, to have the fun like this, how critical is it to just keep your head over 40 minutes? Because those GTPs, they fly by.
Oh, I had to dodge one GTP in the middle of the race, I think. I just, didn't hit him. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's really intense. This is a very fun track to drive the Audi. Yeah, and the race was really fun. But next time I hope to do better and take the victory.
Well, we will see you next time then. It will be in 7 days in 2026, but the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez historic layout. So how are you feeling about tackling that and what is truly a beautiful circuit to go and race, and also with that tiny bit of power reduction due to the altitude?
But that's the same for everyone. So maybe you can apply the throttle a bit earlier on this track, also because of the banking. That's really fun in the Audi. But I think this track always gives a great show for you guys. So I hope we did that for you guys.
Absolutely. We'll wish you the best of luck. Craig will know as well how brilliant it is. Alex Ott there joining us, getting a wonderful P2 finish out there here today. But that will close the curtain here for the IMSA Vintage Series. We will be back tomorrow for more racing action then on the horizon. That will be coming up to you with us and the Lotus 79s. They'll be heading to Donington Park then as the second to last race of the year with us on the Global SimRacing Channel. And critically, the Porsche Owners Club will be finishing off the year for us in 2025 over at the brand new circuit of the Miami International Autodrome. So you'll want to catch that one, which will be coming into play on what is UK time 2:55 a.m. Over the other side, it will be a New Year's dash for the Skip Barber Sim Series. They'll be heading over to Summit Point to start their season on New Year's Day. And then Grand Prix Legends on what is a very brilliant Saturday will be heading to Brands Hatch for their third round of the championship. You do not want to miss the racing action that comes here with us, but you know how critical racing is at the highest level, where one small mistake is all it takes sometimes to get that run. Jacob Reed's tyres shred to bits as his chance then of getting a triple crown also does exactly the same. His right rear down to just 9% on the inside tread. Aldrius saying it is my day in the sun from Jake Sperry, Craig King, Daniel Costello, and Dougie Beard. But today as well, GTO is also something that gets talked about. There was a chance for a Shalumba party. That one fell away. Alex Ott and Arturus Kondelis shifting out of position, which meant, like it has been over Christmas, it's a first for Noel.